Hello everyone. I welcome you all to my presentation today. I am Ashik Shimul from Bangladesh, PhD candidate School of Psychology at the University of Newcastle. Today in my talk, I'm going to address access to autobiographical memory, a cross-cultural investigation between Australia and Bangladesh. So I will talk very briefly about autobiographical memory model called self-memory system model and cultural dynamic theory of autobiographical memory that I have used throughout my research. Then I will let you know about my research questions, summarizing the relevant literature. Then I will talk about my method, followed by the results, and finally take-home message. So let's move. Autobiographical memory is a distinct human memory system built from life experiences of an individual with a particular reference to the self, and where individual is actively engaged. Autobiographical memory also consists of episodic information and semantic memories. It develops gradually. There are two types of autobiographical memory. One is a specific autobiographical memory, another one is general autobiographical memory. In a specific autobiographical memory, people recollect their personal past event that occurred at a particular time and place and that lasted less than one day. Whereas in general autobiographical memory, people recollect general, categorical, common, repetitive events which lasted for a long time, and they have a lack of specific information. According to Martin Conway, 1992, he proposed autobiographical memory theory called self-memory system, which is hierarchically organized. It consists of three layers. Lifetime period at the top of the hierarchy contain general knowledge of significant events, goals, location, activities, and so on. They consist of thematic knowledge as well as temporal dimensions. For example, PhD student life at the University of Newcastle, Australia. General event in the middle of the hierarchy are more organized, more specific than lifetime period. They can be repetitive events, unique events, and so can be a series of events linked by some common theme. For example, my research supervision meeting with my supervisors. Event-specific knowledge at the bottom of the hierarchy is the sensory perceptual detail of a memory. For example, I can remember my first supervisors meeting. It was on 12th June 2017, early in the morning at 11 a.m. It was a rainy day. I meet with Gary and Simon in the psychology building. There are two ways that people recollect their autobiographical memory. One is generative retrieval, another one is direct retrieval. When autobiographical memory retrieval process is effortful, it is referred to as generative retrieval. It involves top-down processing. When a cue is presented, it then starts searching appropriate memory associates, evaluating existing information, monitoring the information for self-relevance, and at the same time, inhibiting irrelevant information from entering to the monitoring verification process, that is the retrieval model. Whereas direct retrieval is more rapid, less effortful because cues get immediate access to autobiographical knowledge base, to the perceptual knowledge, sensory perceptual detail level. This type of retrieval follows a bottom-up process. Cultural dynamic theory of autobiographical memory was proposed by Wang in 2016. It comprises of three themes. Says autobiographical memory takes place in a dynamic interaction between an active individual and his or her changing environment. It is situated in a culturally conditioned time and space. And finally, it develops by acquiring cultural knowledge about the self and the purpose of the past through early socialization. Independent, as for example, Australia promote independent self-construal, which emphasize internal attributes, uniqueness of the self, and independence from close others. Whereas interdependent culture, as for example, Bangladesh foster interdependent self-construal, which emphasize external attributes, relatedness, and interdependence of self with others. So my first research question is whether the retrieval method used to access autobiographical memory varies according to culture and cue valence. As we do not have any earlier information in the literature about culture and retrieval methods, so we didn't make any prediction. Whereas for Q valence, earlier research showed that in response to neutral cues, people recollect autobiographical memories following direct retrieval. So we make a prediction that the proportion of direct retrieval would be higher for neutral cues compared to both positive and negative cues. My second research question is whether the specificity of autobiographical memory varies according to culture and cue valence. As Wang and Conway showed that people from individualistic culture retrieve specific memory. On the other hand, people from interdependent culture recollect more common and general autobiographical memories. So we predict that the proportion of recollecting specific autobiographical memories will be higher for Australian than Bangladeshi participants. Whereas for Q valence, William has showed that in response to neutral cues, participants recollected more specific autobiographical memory compared to positive and negative cues. As a result, we predict that the proportion of recollecting specific autobiographical memory will be higher for neutral cues compared to positive and negative cues. My third research question was whether the recollection of autobiographical memory details varies according to culture. According to Wang 2013, Westerners remember their autobiographical experience in a greater episodic detail than their Asian counterparts. So we predict that the proportion of recollecting autobiographical memory details will be higher for Australian than Bangladeshi participants. The last research question was whether there is any effect of culture on the sequence of accessing autobiographical knowledge base. As we do not have any early literature on that, so we didn't make any prediction. So let's see the method section. A total of 163 participants took part in this study. From Australia, the number of participants were 93, where 81 were female and 11 were male, and their mean age was 23.84. On the other hand, from Bangladesh, 70 participants took part, and among them, 40 were female and 28 were male, and their mean age was 22.29. We presented 12 keywords that have been used in my study. They were categorized into 3 valence: positive, neutral, and negative. This is how we presented the keywords to the participant and asked them to recollect a specific autobiographical memory. So all the recollected memory protocols were audio recorded for later transcribed. Each participant recollected 12 memories, and we had nearly around 1,968 autobiographical memories. After each recollection of autobiographical memory, participants were asked to rate the quality of their autobiographical memory. And we are very much interested about the last one. So we ask whether the memory they have recollected was directly triggered by the keyword or not. So after verbatim translation of the audio files of the memory protocols, each and every memory, autobiographical memory description were manually checked to see whether it was a specific or a general autobiographical memory. After selecting the specific autobiographical memory, we classified the memory content once again through Conway's model, which give us the content of a lifetime period, general events, and event-specific knowledge. And here is an example. And the sequence was they accessed lifetime period first, ESK second, and general event was the third. In addition to that, we applied Levin's autobiographical memory coding to find only the internal and external details of those autobiographical memories. So participants mentioned in their memory description about specific event, time, place, and perceptual detail, thought, emotions were categorized as internal. On the other hand, any description about less specific event, general knowledge, time, place, perceptual detail, emotion, and thoughts were categorized as external. And here is an example of the coding that I have used for Levin's autobiographical interview schedule. And reliability statistics, we used kappa, where Australian memory protocols, it was 0.82. For Bangladeshi memory protocols, it was 0.64. We analyzed the result using a two-way mixed ANOVA. The results showed no main effect of culture in the proportion of direct retrieval, implies that direct retrieval is a common across culture. Concurring earlier findings, the present research strengthened the recent argument that direct retrieval is more common than generative retrieval, and it came true across Western and Asian cultures as well. And finally, rejecting our hypothesis that the proportion of direct retrieval would be higher for autobiographic memories cued with concrete or neutral keywords compared to abstract, that is positive and negative words, in our study showed we found that direct retrieval is equally adopted by the participants across the Q valence. So it is not concreteness or abstractness, imageability of the Q that influence retrieval method. There might be some other factors such as importance, uniqueness, or frequency of rehearsing those memories might have contributed behind participant subjective rating for choosing retrieval method. So opportunities for future research would shed more light on in this issue. Another two-way mixed ANOVA to see the effect of culture and equivalence on memory specificity. We found no main effect of culture in the proportion of specific autobiographical memory. It rejects our anticipated hypothesis. It implies that people from Australia and Bangladesh recollected specific autobiographical memory when they were asked to recollect, although the result showed a main effect of equivalence. But interesting finding is the interaction effect of culture and equivalence. The significant interaction was due to the different pattern of results for Bangladesh versus Australian participants across levels of equivalence. So pairwise comparison for a positive, neutral, for positive, negative, for neutral and negative, it shows that there is a significant difference among Bangladeshi participants, but not for Australian participants. Compared to positive cues, Bangladeshi participants collected a higher number of negative memories when they were cued by negatively balanced word. For Australian participants, we didn't find any pairwise difference. Another two-way mixed ANOVA was conducted to see whether memory detail differs according to culture and detail type. So we didn't find no main effect of culture was observed regarding restriction of memory detail. We didn't find any cultural difference when people were recollecting autobiographical memory details. The main effect of detail type was evident, but that was modified by significant interaction of culture and detail type. The interaction was due to the opposite direction of the detail type in the two culture, which are significant. Post-hoc analysis showed that the average number of internal detail was significantly higher for Australians than Bangladeshi participants, whereas average external detail was significantly higher for Bangladeshi participants compared to Australians. We suggest that in different ways of perceiving the world, it is the culture that operate as a lens and direct attention, as well as filter the processing of environment and experience into memory. The results imply that conforming aspiration of independent culture, Australians recollected higher number of episodic detail in their recollected autobiographical memories. On the other hand, when external or semantic details were considered, expectedly, Bangladeshi participants recollected a higher number, which is appraised by interdependent culture. We conducted a t-test to examine the cultural difference between Australia and Bangladesh to understand whether in access to autobiographical knowledge base, is there any cultural difference? The results revealed that Australian participants retrieved specific autobiographical memories following a sequence. That is, they first access the lifetime period, then general events, and then event-specific knowledge from their autobiographical knowledge base. Whereas Bangladeshi participants didn't do that. The present finding extend the claim of Hawke and his colleagues 2014 in the recollection of autobiographical memories. Healthy participants access their autobiographical knowledge base following a theory-driven sequence, and our evidence showed that there is a cultural difference in that sequence of accessing autobiographical knowledge base. So in a nutshell, we can say that direct retrieval is a common method in access to autobiographical memories, and no cultural difference is evident. The balance of the keywords does not influence the method of autobiographical memory retrieval. The recollection of specific autobiographical memories differs between culture when cues of different valence are used. The recollection of episodic and semantic details vary according to cultures, and culture differentiate the sequence of accessing the autobiographical knowledge base during recollection of autobiographical memories. So that's all from my end. Thank you very much.